So the first thing we need to talk about is what is growth marketing. There are a lot of definitions out there online. A lot of people think of growth marketing as a buzzword, but I want to explain you what I understand under growth marketing. For me, the most important thing about growth marketing is that it's a process of rapid experimentation. We're not going to take weeks or months to try to implement a marketing strategy, see if it works, and then realize, this is not something for our company. No, we're going to come up with very small experiments to validate which channel, which message, which target audience is working the best for us and can help us grow our company as fast as possible. So that's very important to understand. You need to have that mindset of constant experimentation and coming up with those small testable ideas. With all the tactics and strategies that I will teach you here in this essential course, it's very easy to try to aim for everyone. But if you're aiming for everyone, you're actually hitting no one. So you need to start by understanding your best customers and then figure out how can you acquire more of them. You will also see that growth marketing is often a combination of conventional and unconventional marketing experiments. Of course, the conventional ones like SEO, Facebook ads, they are needed, but we're also going to look for unconventional experiments. For me, these are experiments that are using unsaturated marketing channels. This way we can use underpriced attention and reach our target audience without having to pay too much money. So you need to be creative, understand your audience, where they're hanging out, and how can I come up with awesome experiments to make sure that I capture their attention and give them something valuable in return. Also, the difference is very clear in where we position the funnel between traditional marketing and growth marketing. For traditional marketing, we will usually just focus on top of the funnel. So, traditional digital marketing, they will do a lot of awareness. Awareness for me is like screaming very loud, making sure that everyone has seen your product, your service, your offering, and then they will do a tiny bit of acquisition. Usually this is just a contact form on the website, or maybe the last couple of years some businesses tried experimenting with webinars. But we as growth marketeers, we want to keep a holistic view on the entire marketing funnel. So that means that of course we're going to focus on awareness and acquisition, we're going to focus on that top of the funnel action that we need to do, but we're also going to make sure that we run experiments to improve the activation. We want to make sure that more people get a wow moment, that more people book meetings with us, that more people understand what the value of our product, service, or offering might be. We're also going to think of how we can improve retention, because we want to make sure that our customers stay customers. We're going to think of experiments on how to increase revenue. This could be the moment they land on your website and they need to purchase something. Could also be that we will see how can we make sure that we can cross-sell them, that we can upsell them and have more revenue out of that one client. At the end, we will also think about referral. Referral, this is a very, very powerful mechanism that allows your current customers to bring in new customers. By doing this, you create viral loops. We as growth marketers, we actually love data. And for me, this is the most important part about growth marketing. Everything we do needs to be measurable. If I cannot measure it, I will not do it. I will try to find a proxy. I will try to find another way to measure the experiment and see what the actual impact is. And with impact, I mean the most important metrics. For example, how many people did I reach? How much did it cost me to reach them? How much did the purchase cost me? So I need to know for every experiment, what is my most important metric and how can I measure this? I will also, along the way, try to A/B test as much as possible. A/B testing is trying multiple variants within a same experiment. Let me make that super clear for you with an example. If I'm sending out a newsletter and I have 100 people that I want to reach, I will first send version A to a specific subset of that audience. For example, 10 people will get version A, 10 people will get version B, and then I will see which version of my newsletter is performing the best. So which one is getting the most opens, which one is getting the most clicks, and then I will take that winner, I will analyze the data, I will take that winner and I will send that winning version to the rest of my population, so the other 18 people. By doing A/B test, you maximize learning. Instead of then having to run sequential experiments, you're actually experimenting within your experiment and maximizing your chance of finding a winner. This leads us to the final point. You're going to make decisions based on data. This is for me so valuable. This means that it's not anymore the person who has the most experience in the room that's going to make the decisions. It's the data that will tell us who's right. And in a lot of cases, I was in a meeting room with a CEO or a marketing manager, and they told me, yeah, Nicholas, we're going to do it like this because it worked like that for the last 6 years. And then I tell them, great, that's amazing, but let's try something else as well. And we're going to run this experiment then for 2 weeks, and then we're going to check the data and we're going to analyze who's right. And if you're right, that's great, we're going to continue doing that. But if my experiment is successful, then we're going to scale it and put a bit more budget behind it. So that is so powerful. If you understand that data will help you to level all these arguments and give an equal voice of everyone around the table in that growth meeting, then data becomes something so powerful. You, as future growth marketers, you will fail. It's just how it is. This is because we love rapid experimentation. We're not going to spend weeks and months to prepare something and then maybe have it fail afterwards and then lost so much time. No, we have that rapid experimentation, even though if we have an idea, okay, this might work, okay, let's just try it out. And I want the data to tell us if it could potentially work or not. There's just a minimum requirement that each experiment teaches us something either about the channel that we used, could be Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, newsletters, the audience that we use, so who are you going to try to target, and the messaging. Messaging for me is a combination of value proposition and the way that you phrase it. And if your experiment taught you something about one of these 3 aspects, then it's not that big of a failure anymore, because you will take these learnings and make your next experiments better. Very important to understand is that growth marketing fails if you don't implement a process. This is the most important thing in growth, is to have this process and that you continuously go through this loop. People that are familiar with the lean startup methodology or with the agile methodology, they will recognize this. So what you will always do is that you will try to go through this process in 2-3 weeks, depending on how fast your company goes. And what we usually do is that we first need to start with a brainstorm, because you need some ideas initially to come up to see what could actually work for my company. We have a bit of canvases that could help you to brainstorm these experiments. They will also be here in the attachments underneath the course, so feel free to download this canvas, print it out, and use this to brainstorm along the phases of the funnel. Next thing that you need to do is that you need to prioritize your ideas, because not every idea is a good one. And we're going to use a simple system called the ICE score to determine which experiments that we will do first. ICE stands for Impact, Confidence, Ease. Impact, what is the potential impact if this experiment is a success? Confidence, how certain are we that this is going to work? Ease, how difficult is it to implement this? Taking into account time, resources, budgets, and we will then take the sum of these 3 aspects. So in this example here, we give a score out of 10. We sum these 3 scores, and then we have a rather objective way of scoring which experiments that we should do first. Next, we're going to outline the experiments. So I don't want you at this point to come up with a huge campaign that will take you weeks. I want you to come up with your minimum viable test. The smallest possible test to validate that this experiment is actually a good idea. We have developed a test card for that. Also, that test card is available in the attachments under this course. And if you fill in this test card, then you're already aligning your experiment before you're starting it. So what you will do is that you first write down your hypothesis. We believe that, for example, we believe that running a Facebook lead ad campaign to try to get ebook downloads will perform better than a traffic campaign. Then you go to the second step. You're going to explain what is the test that you're going to do. To verify that, we will run a lead ad campaign and a traffic campaign. Step 3, metric, and measure the cost per lead. How much does it cost us per download? Step 4, criteria, and we are right if the cost per lead of a Facebook lead ad campaign is 15% lower than a traffic campaign. So you fill in this card and it will help you to make sure that your experiment is clearly aligned and that you have something afterwards to check back. Because a lot of times I go into a group meeting and then we're asking ourselves, okay, was it a success? I don't know. Is this good? Is this not good? And by filling in the test card, you force yourself to come up with the metrics that you're going to measure, and you already define your success criteria, making it a lot easier to go into that scale phase where you decide if it's a winner to push a bit more budget behind it. Next, we're going to, of course, implement this. This is very important that you give the experiment some time to run. Some very big companies with a lot of traffic on their website, for example, Amazon, they only need a couple of hours to validate if the experiment is working. Most companies that we work with, they need a couple of weeks to see, okay, what is actually the best one that works, or is this experiment really converting as we would expect? So take some time to implement it and let it run. Very important, don't try to do everything at the same time. A lot of people get super excited about growth marketing. They want to do 6, 7 experiments all at the same time, but then they're forgetting that they also need to analyze it, that they need to prioritize the ones that could have the biggest impact, and then at the end, they just stop with the process. This is not the way to go. I'd rather have you to pick 1 or 2 experiments that you will execute per sprint. A sprint is the 2-week cycle that it takes to go through the entire growth process. Use sprints, do 1 or 2 experiments, but do them well. And do the analysis part. Don't forget about that. So that brings me to the analysis part. In the analysis part, you're going to decide what you're going to do now with the experiment. Very important. You're going to decide if you're going to scale it, pivot it, or kill it. So first, you will need to ask yourself some questions. What was the impact of the experiment? What were the results? How close did we come towards the hypothesis? And why did it go as it went? Maybe something was wrong and we saw, okay, the messaging there was a big difference between the messaging we used in the ad and the messaging on the website. So we need to actually make sure that those are in sync. Could be something that you find in that analysis. But if you see that an experiment is going well, you're paying an okay amount per lead and you feel like, okay, this is validated, then don't forget to scale. You will only be a successful growth marketer if you scale your wins. That is so important. A lot of companies I just see having winning experiments and then they just keep on putting other experiments next to it. That's great, of course, but you need to scale your winners. If we're running that same Facebook lead ad example as I explained before, if you see that it's working and you were spending €5 a day, let's scale and go to €20 or €30 and see if your amount of leads also multiplies. Very important. If you see that certain aspects of your campaign or your experiment are successful, but there is a bit of problem somewhere. Same example, we were using the Facebook ads. We push them towards a website. We get cheap clicks on the Facebook ads, but no one is converting on the website. Okay, then we need to pivot our experiment. We need to change a bit the messaging. We need to change a bit the landing page to make sure that actually the experiment will be successful. If it's a bad idea, don't worry about it, just kill it. Then there's plenty of room to do other stuff, part of the thing, part of the process, but make sure that you learn something. To round off, I want to talk about the 6 pillars of growth marketing to just summarize the process and summarize what you need to know or what you need to realize to be successful. First of all, you need the right people. And I would rather hire someone with the right mindset than someone with the right skill set but a completely wrong mindset. You need people that constantly want to experiment, that want to learn new things, because you need to have those mindset of constantly rapid experimentation, trying new things out and then figuring out what works. Second, you will use plenty of tools. And these tools, they will help you to make your life easier. If you're, for example, going to do something in the referral phase, you could build your own referral program or your referral software, but there are tons of people that already did this for you. And if you implement the right tools, it only takes you half an hour to set up your own referral program. Third, focus on testable ideas. Don't go for these huge, big campaigns. It will take you months to set up. Try to focus on the small testable ideas that you can see what is working, what is not working, and what should I actually do to make this better. Fourth, failure. You will fail. Be prepared to fail. There's no shame in failing, just there's a minimum expectation that you learn something about the channel that you used, the targeting that you used, and the messaging that you used. So make sure that this is something that you will learn from this experiment. 4, this is for me really the most important thing of growth marketing, data. You need to measure everything. If you can't measure it, I don't want to do it. I want to find a way to measure it so that I know what is actually the impact. And the final thing is agility. Make sure you have these agile processes in place, that if you find winners, if you find things that need to pivot, that it doesn't take you weeks to then have meetings to decide what you're going to do with it. No, in that sprint meeting where you analyze it, you need to immediately be able to define the next steps. We need to go fast. If you lose that agility, then your growth process will not be successful. All right, congratulations, you made it through the first lesson here in this Growth Marketing Essential course. Buckle up, because we're getting ready for the next lesson where we're going to talk about the pirate funnel. See you in the next lesson.